as YouTube censorship. Okay. So a lot of the stuff that came up about Alex Jones being kicked off of YouTube and how the right wing is saying that certain conservative voices are being removed from YouTube. First of all, go watch a conservative video and then look at the videos available to you right afterwards. There's no limit on those kind of things. And Alex Jones was not censored as a move about right-wing removal from things. Alex Jones is not a right-winger. Alex Jones is a neo-Christic anarchist flim-flam man who sells conspiracy theories and dick pills. Alex Jones is a fraud. And Alex Jones got kicked off not because of all the things he said about his coded globalist language or any of the nonsense, like Area 51 level stuff that he talks about. He said that the families of Sandy Hook, the people who were involved in Sandy Hook, and mass shootings. It wasn't even just Sandy Hook. Like nearly every shooting that happens, he'll tell you they're crisis actors. It was set up by the anti-gun lobby for an Obama gun grab. This is a constant refrain that the people who've watched their family members and friends slaughtered in front of them or who buried a child are lying to you just so the government can grab your guns. And it's not even something he believes. Because if he believed that, he wouldn't walk out the front door. Like, he would just believe he was in danger from the government at all times. He would believe he was, a journalist in Russia who talks back against the government. It's a big difference. As self-flagellating and sort of over-the-top prayerful they are towards Putin and Russia as this white ethno-state that's run like you should, tough leader, that idea. It's amazing to me that if they were doing what they did in Russia against the Russian government, they'd have been dead a long time ago. That's the irony. But secondly, when you finally get kicked off of YouTube because YouTube, as a private company providing a service, decides that you are affecting their bottom line with your, nonsense about people pretended to bury their 6-year-old just to help gun laws get passed because of the UN and Jade Helm or whatever nonsense title. That if they kick you off for doing that, you're not losing your free speech. You just don't get to use their megaphone. Jimmy Dore pushes back against this as well. There's a bunch of people who believe that somehow, YouTube has a responsibility like it's a public utility for free speech. Okay, first of all, there is nothing stopping you from setting up a server that houses your videos in your own place, paying for bandwidth and letting people watch your stuff. That's your own personal financial investment in this. There are also multiple other sites that you can put your videos up on and not have a comment structure that's, a magnet for, anti-American, anti-Semitic, anti-globalist sentiment, whatever your flavor of psycho is, Jimmy, that at no point do you have a right to use that platform. The reason they think they're being censored is because it is relatively easy compared to other systems, thanks to how YouTube has this set up, to make some money. If you have a volume of videos of a reasonable size, you can get some, I don't have enough of them, but a lot of these guys who just post and post and post and it's all they do, and they put on 5 days a week or whatever, after a while it adds up and you can get kind of a regular revenue stream. And if that revenue stream is interrupted because you're not selling ads, then you're not going to make any money. And it's so easy as far as how the structure works that these guys they're just clamoring for it. This is the people who are complaining about being censored on YouTube are not really complaining about being censored because you have other options. What they're complaining about is not being able to participate in either Super Chats or Global AdSense and make money off of it. That's what's upsetting them. That's what's upsetting Jimmy Dore. That's what's upsetting Alex Jones. The worry about that. is because that cash cow gets dried up. That it has nothing to do with censorship. You don't even just take some cardboard, roll it into a megaphone, stand on a street corner. The government will not stop you. You have the right to say whatever the hell you want. But at no point do you get to use somebody else's thing to do it. Because I always think it's funny because Jimmy was screaming at some dude on the Young Turks or whatever about that YouTube sort of owes it to people to allow them to be on the air somehow. And was just yelling like a friggin' maniac. And I'm like, if I came onto his set and just sat there the entire time he did his show and just kind of interrupted fairly regularly, he wouldn't let me just sit there. He'd call a cop and have me escorted out. And by the way, the cop would be interfering, would be right to do it. He would not be interfering with my freedom of speech because I'd be interfering with his ability to do it. But here's the thing, maybe it boils down to that Jimmy doesn't believe that people should be able to have personal property and it's a Marxist thing. I don't think so. But if that's it, that's a belief system people can have. But ultimately, YouTube doesn't even take up any space. It doesn't even exist. And the way to get there via the internet is a completely sort of freewheeling Wild West, except for, maybe your cable system is the only game in town, but you can always get DirecTV or some other source to get there, whatever. But the existence of the servers of YouTube is a completely unannexed territory. It is land stolen from no one. So, there's a Politicon debate, Jimmy Dore versus Hal Sparks. I'd do it, but he'd spit on me or something. Okay, all friends, time to log off and go. Yes, I gotta get out of here too. It's 1 o'clock. It doesn't exist. Well, yeah, it doesn't. Literally, the internet is amazing in that all the spaces in it, the social media spaces, don't physically exist as spaces. They don't take space from anywhere else in their existence. The people that create them, they're housed on servers that are paid for by either the funds raised by them or the people who put them up in the first place, especially when they're startups and they didn't exist in the first place. Everybody on YouTube is a squatter on the service. You're taking advantage of this as a structure for the value that company can take from it and the value, but they didn't annex this land to make it happen. There was no, manifest destiny of YouTube where you can say they didn't have the right to take this area. No. They set this up. It's here. I'm glad it's here. I love it. I love being with you guys. I love having the opportunity to do this with all the time. If you'll recall, I used to be on Ustream, then I went to Livestream, then YouTube started, doing this, and it was just a lot. It was way better functionally. I used to have to pay to have the radio show, hundreds of dollars a month just to be on at all on Ustream and Livestream, and now this is but for the technology free, and so when those guys are complaining about censorship, they're not complaining about censorship. They're the Bundys. They're being broomed off of public land because they tried to stake a claim, and you don't get to do that. And while I think there should be as wide a breadth as possible for people's speech in a public discourse, the minute somebody, when you're on their ground or in their space, decides I'm not cool with that language on my dime, bye. Sorry, if I ever get kicked off of YouTube because of my behavior or something I say, I will have deserved it, if only because they have the right to do it and it's their space. And I will find another option. It won't have, it will never limit my my ability to speak. So this idea that YouTube is censoring voices is, first of all, insane because there's so much stuff on there. I mean, there's so much racist and anti-Semitic and violent rhetoric on there that they have a hard time getting it all off. But secondly, he was warned multiple times. They knocked him off for a couple of days. You get strikes against you, and then eventually you got to go. It's their platform. That's the rules. Tough. Sorry, I got no rant, and I didn't even get to look at the chat room about this. I fight for you because your status as a black woman means people hate you more than me as a white lesbian. That is, I don't know where in the world that's true. Alex Jones said he's ready to get taken out by the deep state. He's going down the rabbit hole. Alex Jones not being taken out by the deep state, and he'll keep saying it. Just like David Icke's been talking about, you know, lizard people forever. If they actually exist, they'd have eaten them a long time ago. Same thing with Alex Jones. You know, there's a whole structure of people who believe that Alex Jones is a Zionist operative for the Israeli state. You know, and you know, even his own. This, you know, that's what happens when you know, live by the conspiracy theory, die by the conspiracy theory. But there's big groups and, you know, big swaths of his group that turned on him after a while because they think he's a shill, especially after you decide to become Christian because there's money in that. Greatest bearer of false witness. Right. Well, that's a great example. YouTube's recommended video from you next is Hal and hypnosis. I'm intrigued. Oh, there you go. How that's a convo between Cheryl and me. Great. Cool. I can't watch 2IT. They've been as much a problem in the 2010 election as Ed Schultz was. Yeah, I mean that's one of the problems, and I don't bend with that kind of stuff. That's a totally different thing. But we will talk, you know, more about this in future. But if YouTube kicks you off for violating their terms of service, they have every right to do it. And you have either other options or you can set up your own server to do it. And if you're willing to make that investment, if you want to take advantage of the financial benefits of being on YouTube, especially at that scale, because that's really what was going on, then you need, you know, then you can afford, obviously, if you can make that much money off of YouTube and being on there, then clearly you can afford to buy a couple of servers to house your videos and find another way to advertise and get sponsors yourself. It's not about censorship. It's about money. And it's not surprising when Alex Jones does it. It's hilarious when the left does it. You know, and I don't know that I would include Jimmy in that. Because I think he's just kind of a spoiler in the, you know, but obviously, you know, the belief